Doctor, where have you been? I've little time to play hide and seek with new staff members, no matter how illustrious they may be.
I found a wounded man by the docks. He answers to the name of Clay Cox. He requires urgent medical attention.
Already making the rounds? That's the Pembroke spirit. I'll ask our porter, Milton, to bring him back immediately.
Thank you, nurse. What can I do for you?
Dr. Swansea insisted we provide you a quiet office. You'll find it on the second floor with your name on the door.
Thank you. Nurse Crane, isn't it?
Yes, Dorothy Crane. Welcome to Pembroke Hospital, Dr. Reed. Your office has been prepared.
Thank you, Nurse Crane. Good evening, sir. I'm Dr. Jonathan Reed. I'm new here.
I've already heard about you, Dr. Reed. I'm Milton Hooks, the ambulance driver for this shithole of a hospital.
That's quite a blunt introduction, Mr. Hooks.
You can call me Milton. I like to speak my mind, Dr. Reed. Perk of the job. Don't judge me, and I won't judge you.
I'm not sure I understand what you're talking about.
Well, I'm no doctor, but I'm pretty sure a gun can't be used as a surgical instrument.
You have a keen eye. I learned to shoot during the war, and have carried one ever since. Old habits die hard.
No need to explain, Dr. Reed. And if you ever need a better gun, remember, I may have something for you.
Are you really smuggling weapons through the hospital?
And why not? I've already been attacked by patients, you know. And by gang members willing to steal my money.
But you're not defending yourself. You're selling guns to civilians.
You keep people alive your own way, Doctor. I offer them another way to protect their health.
How is the situation around here?
You want to hear the situation is all right? It's fucking awful. We lack worse every day.
So what do you do exactly in this hospital? Apart from smuggling guns, I mean.
I've been an ambulance driver since... too long, I guess. I'll bring sick people here night and day. It's a dirty job, but I get it done. Most of the time.
Sounds like things have been a bit rough recently. What's happened?
Yesterday I got attacked by the patient I was bringing in. I escaped through the hospital's garden, but I lost my wallet when I was running.
You left an infected patient outside the hospital? That's incredibly dangerous.
Go there yourself if you want, but be careful, Doctor. I'd rather not bring your dead body back.
Since you're on the front line, how is the sanitary situation in this vicinity?
It's a complete disaster. It's even getting dangerous to enter some streets or buildings. Even the locals attack you.
I'd like to see your goods.
Wise choice, Dr. Reed. A reliable gun is what everybody needs these days.
Good evening, sir.
So it is true. The famous Dr. Reed has joined us. I can't think of any better news during these terrible times.
Do we know each other?
Actually, yes. We met once before, at the Rockefeller University in New York.
Dr. Tippett, yes, I remember. I was assisting Professor Carell in his research about coronary bypasses. He had nothing but praise for you.
He was also very confident about your future. And look at you now. Eminent surgeon and blood transfusion specialist.
What can you tell me about the staff in the hospital?
Some are really good, and others are not so good. But during this troubled period, there is no time for slander. I prefer to focus on the positive character traits.
Tell me more about cherished people, then.
Nurse Brannigan is a pearl. She is the most helpful and dedicated nurse I've ever worked with. A clever and cheerful woman.
You really seem to admire her skills.
I'll go even further. If she was a man, she would be a damn fine practitioner.
Any opinion about the management?
I don't always agree with Dr. Swansea's reserve, but I must admit he does all he can to keep this facility running during this crisis.
Ah, yes, the burden of command. I was fed up with this concept while serving as a medical officer.
Don't get me wrong. Swansea's a good administrator. I just wish he would get out of his office now and again.
What is the Pembroke Hospital situation? And please, speak freely.
This hospital is not exactly the best of London. I'm sure you are used to working in a better environment.
It's more than enough. In any case, the personnel of a hospital are much more important to me than the building.
Don't be misled by appearances, Dr. Reed. This hospital does not lack talented people. It just lacks hope.
Goodbye, Dr. Tippett. Good evening, Dr. Tippett.
Dr. Reed, any
Goodbye, Dr.
Standing after this epidemic, there's good reason to be proud.
Good evening, nurse. I'm Dr. Jonathan Reed, the new surgeon here at the Pembroke.
Dr. Swansea has already told us about you, sir. I'm Nurse Gwyneth Brannigan. Welcome to the Pembroke Hospital.
Did he really? It's a good thing I wasn't hoping to keep a low profile.
All members of staff have already read about your new blood transfusion technique. Dr. Swansea made sure of that.
I see. Well, I'm a little surprised.
You must know, blood transfusions are Dr. Swansea's primary subject of research.
I'm not most...
It would...
Is there...
Well,
Why should his age...
I guess it's fair...
Nurse Brannigan,
No,
how are...
not good.
Do you think...
We are... Sorry.
Why does Dr. Tippett claim you're the main reason he keeps working, despite his fatigue?
If it wasn't for him, I probably would have left the Pembroke years ago.
Dr. Tippett does not think of you as just a nurse anymore, does he?
If you're suggesting he's not taking my gender into consideration when it comes to medical practice and knowledge, I really hope he doesn't.
Goodbye, nurse.
It's safer here than anywhere else in the East End.
Dr. Swansea is right. This place seems perfect to conduct my research.
So many deaths. And what
Good
about
evening,
me?
miss. I'm Dr. Reed.
Your name has no meaning to me.
I beg your...
What are you begging for?
You keep...
Well,
Who are you?
is that not...
I'm...
No. I don't need...
I see.
Never.
It's a...
Deli-
I'm assuming...
It's a...
Who?
I'm...
I...
Here again.
Good evening, sir.
Unless you're here,
I'm Dr...
you guessed.
How close are you to Miss Horcroft? Are you aware that she thinks she is a vampire?
To wait for her next nibble is the best reason.
Aren't you afraid?
She's quite harmless.
So do you let...
And why?
She could dis...
And it's an...
You do...
In a...
Where we...
I really don't want to...
No offense. I was pushing too much. I served in France myself. I just wanted to know what happened to you.
You were an officer, weren't you? Then I doubt we fought the same war, sir. No offense.
How is your state?
Oh, it's...
Can I ask you?
It's the pain, sir.
Can I?
Nurses gave me a bunch of pills. No effect.
Who?
No,
You don't.
they fake.
Goodbye for now.
Disgust on every street corner. The daily routine.
Good evening, now.
Good evening, Doctor. I don't think we've been introduced yet. My name is Pippa Hawkins.
And I'm Dr. Jonathan Reed.
Well, it's a euphemism that your help will be Well,
You're right.
sorry, Doc.
How would you...
It's Sue.
Nurse,
I wish...
you... How is...
Well, not well.
Why is Milton
Milton's not the kind of...
Goodbye, nurse.
Daily routine.
Time has lost its effect on me.
Good evening, sir. I'm Dr. Reed.
Reed? Yes, I've been informed about your arrival.
Does my arrival inconvenience you in some way, Dr. Ackroyd?
Let us just say that I don't particularly share
Since
with
I don't...
modern medical method.
If you...
Doctor...
I know...
Huh.
There is no need for such animosity between us. Don't you think the epidemic is already enough to deal with? It's... we can...
I don't...
And what? Be careful.
I only...
Knowledge has always been and will remain our main weapon. And it has always come at a price. And personal initiative.
It is not a question of initiative. It is a question of integrity. These men and women have put their faith in us, Dr. Reed.
Thank you. Good evening, sir.
I don't know if a third opinion is needed.
I see.
I'm half... What I... I'm just...
Well,
it's clear...
I won't.
Are you sure you don't want to operate yourself, Dr. Reed?
In other circumstances, you would be right. But for now, I don't think I can take on the responsibility. My apologies. Goodbye for now, Mr. Fiddick.
I will not let you down, my boy.
Good evening, Mr. Fiddick.
Good evening.
You seem worried about the safety of your family. And it's obviously the reason why your wound troubles you so much.
I cannot give up on my children now. They both need me living.
What about their mother, if I may ask?
She died in 1915 during one of the first Zeppelin raids. We never found her body.
Tell me more about the death of your wife, Harvey.
1915. I was in the army, building workshops for the Royal Flying Corps. Helen was happy I wasn't sent to the front.
What happened?
The Germans sent Zeppelins to bomb the construction site, but they missed their target. My wife was bringing my dinner when the bombs fell. They were smaller then. The only good thing about this is my Helen didn't bring them with her that night.
I'm sorry for your loss.
I would like to say that she didn't suffer.
Goodbye for now, Mr. Fit.
I will not let you down, my boy.
This hospital seems to be falling apart. But in the circumstances, I'm willing to give you the benefit of the doubt.
Good evening. I'm Dr. Reed.
No, I don't want to talk.
I suppose...
Yes.
Could you at least tell...
Mortimer.
How...
So...
I'll let...
Good evening, sir. Doctor.
Good evening, madam.
It's my...
I'm Dr...
I'm bit...
What is... What?
No. I'm...
Tell me more about your arrival at the Pembroke Hospital. What gave you such a bad first impression?
The ambulance driver was quite rude, for a start. And that nurse, Miss Hawkins, seems to have quite a dubious attitude.
What do you mean?
She managed to secure a bed for my son despite the epidemic. It was a relief, but it wasn't cheap.
She charged you for a bed?
Yes, and I paid without question, considering the urgency of the situation.
I share your concern.
I don't expect compensation.
Goodbye.
Good evening, sir.
What can I do?
If you could...
Well, Doctor... You'll get...
And Miss...
I get...
Thank you, nurse.
As for me, what a blundering idiot.
Good evening, Doctor.
Dr. Reed. Dr. Swansea informed us of your arrival, but I could not dare to believe we'd have such good fortune.
Thank you. And you are?
I am Thoreau Strickland, Dr. Thoreau Strickland. I'm a great admirer of your work, Dr. Reed.
What can...
Well,
Do you need help?
Well...
Do you want me to...
Oh, no.
I see. You... Question...
True.
Please...
I'm a...
What? It's always a pleasure to share scientific and medical knowledge with someone eager to learn. I'll be glad to help you if I can.
This epidemic may be the century's most terrible disaster, but I'm convinced that we, as doctors, are the only ones able to defeat it.
What do you think of Dr. Ackroyd's aversion to modern medical methods?
It's a shame he's so narrow-minded. Dr. Swansea taught me that science is about exploring uncharted territory. I'm convinced that...
With the influenza and all that's going on, you should put your differences aside, don't you think? Why?
I believe that if Dr. Ackroyd had been the one to discover the transfusion process, he would be the first to recommend its use.
So you believe it's just a question of jealousy and pride?
Dr. Ackroyd is as proud as he is blinded by his obsolete concept of medical science.
Tell me more.
Harvey,
what is it?
Fair question.
Tell me...
Our first diagnosis was compromised because Mr. Fiddick lied to us about the real origin of his injury. He first claimed it was an accident.
But why would he hide such crucial information from us?
Because he is a proud father.
This...
I agree.
All... Goodbye. Good evening, Miss...
Good evening.
Tell me about your injury, Harvey. Why do you feel so guilty about it?
My wife died because of me. And now I may lose everything because I've been careless enough to hurt myself. What an arsehole.
You can't hold yourself responsible for your injury, Mr. Fiddick. Unless you tried to hurt yourself.
Of course I didn't hurt myself. But I can't work until my arm is fixed. My children need to eat, Doctor.
How could your job be responsible for your wife's death?
I was working a double. She went out to bring me a hot meal and got caught in a German bomb raid.
Goodbye for now, Miss...
Sweet girl. Reads me like a book. I never could keep anything from her.
Thelma Howcroft said she was being watched by vampire hunters. Where are they hiding? I should investigate. Good evening. I'm Dr. Reed.
Always a pleasure to meet a colleague.
A colleague?
Not any...
What do you mean?
No. Yet... With... I'm...
Have we met before?
I don't think so, sir. Why?
When we first talked, you said you were glad to meet me since I was reported dead.
Funny story, sir. Your sister came here a few nights ago. You were missing, and she was looking for your body. She must be very relieved now.
Are you afraid?
Why? Half.
And
sir.
Do you?
Yes.
Why?
It was for sanitary reasons.
Why do you have to watch these bodies?
Because these poor fellows have no names. We keep them in case someone comes looking for the missing.
Please.
Of course. Never ceases to amaze me how you, the dead,
It's locked.
seem peaceful and lost at the same time.
Scowl voices in the garden. I should investigate. If they were to find somebody. So, Mr. Hooks and Nurse Hawkins are an item. Those two have hidden their affections well. Good evening, Milton.
Good evening, Doc.
I have some good news, Milton.
What? The epidemic's over?
I retrieved your wallet. With all the money and a certain picture.
Well, yeah, Pippa Hawkins is my girl. So what? Is it the difference of skin colour that bothers you?
Not at all, Milton.
Good. Please, take this money anyway. To remind you to keep your mouth shut. Not everybody is as broad-minded as you, Dr. Reed.
What's going on between...
Pippa's tired. Tired of all this shit. Tired of all those corpses piling up. She's as depressed as I am. Maybe you're... I've seen babies left to die while their brothers were properly fed. Underage girls and boys sold to all manner of perverts.
I'm sorry, I don't know what to say.
Yeah, exactly. We lack words.
Good.
Over there! There's one of them vermin! Die, vermin! Christ, he's dead! Hide for this! Oh, mine, vermin!
The pain. It's here again.
Good evening, Mr. Hampton.
Dr. Reed, is it?
What do you mean?
I was not myself in the factory.
You remained perfectly nice.
Thank you, Doctor. What is... I'm... With...
Do you know...
Tom?
Who...
No. Help.
Have you...
I'm... What? That... Not...
How do you... You're in... Goodbye, Mr. Hampton. We'll talk again later.
Fear and disgust on every street corner. The daily routine.
It's locked, all right.
Damn. The pain. It's here again.
disgust
why
on
the
every
gossips
street
came here in
corner.
the first place.
The daily routine.
Good. Yes.
I have...
The road.
Is he...
Hey.
Goodbye.
Damn. The pain. It's here again.
Disgust on every street
Good evening.
corner.
I have made inquiries about the men who were tracking you, Miss Howcroft.
I did not expect a mortal to have this sort of courage.
It was a misunderstanding. These hunters were in fact looking for a very different creature, but they mistakenly put their sights on you.
I knew it. I have become undone. Those hunters have discovered me.
If you'll accept some advice from a petty mortal, I think you should assume a low profile and just...
You are right. And you have served me well, Mortal.
Thank you. You have no idea.
Why fear the...
Tell... Would...
No.
I'll leave you. It's locked, all right. I cannot enter. This must be the place. It's definitely away from prying eyes. Relegated to the shadows. A kingdom of my own. At least I won't be sleeping in a coffin. The flower's dying. It needs water. William Bishop's blood is much more unstable than human blood and shows extensive mutation. But this is not what happened to me. I must keep on searching. The sun is about to rise. I can feel it. I'll continue tomorrow night. I have so much time now. If I'm to stay here until my research is complete, I'd better learn to hide my true nature from the mortals. But what about my thirst for blood? The flower's dying. It needs water. Yes, Nurse Crane? How can I help you?
I'm so sorry. I know Dr. Swansea wanted you to rest, but we have somewhat of a crisis.
A crisis, you say?
Our supply of antiseptics is nearly depleted. I was hoping there was another box up here, but...
Sorry. There's nothing here.
Some of the patients won't last the night without them. Honestly, sir, I'm beside myself.
I may have a solution. In France, during the war, drugs shortage was a daily problem, and we had to use our wits to overcome the shortages.
However do you mean?
If combined correctly, certain household chemical products can be used in a pinch instead. Now, where's the hospital storeroom?
The storeroom? Fat chance. This is the Pembroke, and space is luxury we don't have. Everything used to be stored in the old morgue.
Perhaps I should look there first. Where is this morgue?
It's the large building behind the hospital. You'll need to go in the back door because it's been sealed off for sanitary reasons. Take this key. It opens a small back entrance at the end of a narrow street.
The abandoned morgue behind the hospital. A small door at the end of a narrow street. On my way then. Thank you, nurse.
With the fever.
It's locked. Balls of Mars. Fortifiers. As popular as they are ineffective. But they do contain iron tartrate, and that might prove itself useful. behavior is similar to the infected William Bishop. Must be the same strain. This sickness moves faster than influenza. This key will surely grant me access to the basement. It's locked, all right. These skulls feed from corpses and the husks of animals. They're not after blood. Mr. Connor's injuries don't match the report. I'd better look into this. Traces of a pinkish foam at the corner of the lips. Some sort of drug overdose, perhaps? And scarring on the arms and legs. Old and distinctive injuries of a sailor or a fisherman. The chest was originally opened to perform the operation. The sutures are clean, but the chest has been reopened. A puncture over the left lung, possibly a chest tube insertion. Not the cleanest work, but I think it was successful. Signs of internal bleeding. So, Dr. Tippett's anesthetics were incorrectly dosed, causing the patient's death. And then he tried to operate on him again. Tippett has made an egregious error. It's time we talked. Tippett has made an It's locked, all right. It's locked, all right. It's locked. Skulls can be so ferocious. I'm not sure I can defeat them without becoming stronger. To drink blood is so tempting. Sodium hypochlorite. Dangerous to administer, but efficient in the proper dosage.
Finally, you've returned, Doctor. Did you find anything of value?
Yes, nurse. Duty calls. When the storm has passed, I'll show you how to mix the remedy yourself.
Many thanks, Doctor.
Reads me like a book. Never could keep anything from her.
How can I be sure I'll not find your unconscious body in the house again?
I promise you, you'll not find my unconscious body.
For God's sake, how can you say such a thing?
How can you refuse to listen? I tried to warn you for so long.
No, I won't let my only son die. You promised me you'll stay alive.
Your son lied to you, like the whole world lies to us.
How long must I wait, damn it? Blaming me will not...
Good evening.
Your son wished to die.
Are you not aware suicide is a crime?
I understand you fear the legal consequences, Mrs. Goswick. But don't you realize your silence significantly affects your son's case?
All my son needs.
Good evening.
I'm okay.
Admit it.
Yes.
All right, then. This is the first time we've really shared information about your case.
Call it what you want.
You can trust me.
I guess I should thank you, then.
Can I?
I wrote a letter.
I see.
Yes.
Tell me about yourself.
I don't want...
What? That's... How...
So painful.
I'm not... I see.
Yes, mate.
How...
So...
I have...
I'm alright. Don't waste... time with me.
Good evening, Mr. Cox.
Dr. Reed.
And why is that?
People who don't sleep at night always seem more alive to me. More interesting.
How is your hospitalization going?
This is a shitty place with shitty staff. But as long as I'm treated all right, I'll be fine.
What's that? I see.
The nurses.
What? But you...
What are you...
Do you ever...
The wound.
What?
Oh!
Perhaps you're right.
If there must be...
That man...
What is...
How long do you think you can escape the law, Clay?
I know this city like...
We can't escape the consequences of our actions.
I ain't afraid of death.
And who are you, then? I'll leave you for now, Mr. Cox. In this letter, Mortimer Goswick does nothing to hide his desire to die. I could give it to his mother, but doing so would betray his trust. It's locked, all right. Good evening, Mr. Goswick.
I'm okay.
I have retrieved your letter, Mr. Goswick.
Thank you. This is for you, then. For your help. And for your silence.
I think you should talk to your mother. It would be good for both of you.
Thank you, Dr. Reed. I'll think about it. Now, please, let me be.
I've read your...
There's nothing more to say, really.
Don't you see how lucky you are?
Leave me alone, then.
I have...
I'm all right. Don't waste your time with me.
They may lack the resources, but we have some of the most brilliant minds in London at Pembroke.
Good evening.
And good evening.
Goodbye.
I'm quite...
Tell me, are you... Other people...
Conservative.
And... Thank you for your...
Surely I can endure another.
Good evening, Dr. Tibbets.
Dr.
Corcoran, I want you to tell me...
He was my patient. He died because of my mistake. That's the blunt truth.
Who...
I...
Your
No.
Nurse Brannigan is worried about you, Doctor.
She should not have told you that.
You don't have to blame her for her honesty.
I'm not that kind of man, my dear Jonathan. Actually, Nurse Brannigan's opinion is the only one I may listen to.
Goodbye, Doctor.
Please, Jonathan, come in. Fascinating, is it not? In the last decade, so many mysteries have been brought to light with our microscopes. The human body, biology's penultimate frontier. The more we explore its boundaries, the less we're able to trace a clear line between life and death. You, my friend, have a foot in both countries. The view must be vertiginous.
It's at least as vertiginous as chatting about vampires with you, I would say.
This must be all so new to you. This area of town, the hospital, a brand new life. How stimulating it must be.
I wish I could share your enthusiasm, Dr. Swansea. But my condition defies scientific categorization. Undead? Unalive? Immortality defies logic.
I cannot express my thrill at this serendipitous turn of events. The world's most eminent specialist in blood transfusions, a vampire. One might say a gift from heaven.
It may seem strange, but your words have brought me some comfort here.
Forgive me. I've been an admirer of your work for a long time, and now you are so much more than a brilliant physician. And please, call me Edgar.
There is no need to apologize, Edgar. You offered me sanctuary when I had none.
Very well. I have a task for you, Jonathan. Something that will require all your newfound skills.
Please, go on.
The Pembroke only survives through the generosity of our benefactors. Unfortunately, our main donor has found herself in a bit of a bind. Now, if you could help her out...
A spokesman or politician is what you need. That's not my calling. And until I come to understand what has happened to me, I require discretion.
Discretion is in order, Jonathan. Lady Ashbury has recently received rather indelicate correspondence that, if revealed, would jeopardize her position.
And you would like me to eradicate this threat?
By the stole, of course not. I would just like you to pay her a visit. Her ladyship is certainly near the tents outside, tending the sick. You can't miss her. Look for someone impossibly delicate.
Accepted. I'll see what kind of trouble Lady Ashbury is in.
Do you need something, Jonathan?
I have...
Then...
Must...
You are a vampire.
The sun. The morning following my... transformation.
You will find there is very little that can kill a vampire, my friend. You have been offered relative immortality. The sun will most certainly hurt you, leaving you weakened and damaged, but it will not destroy you.
The man we pursued...
He was a Skrull, technically speaking. The debate rages as to their classification.
Just for clarity...
A Skrull is easier to eliminate, Jonathan, even if they remain formidable foes for the unprepared. Vampires... Now, vampires exist beyond the mortal realm.
How do Skrulls come into existence?
The name means slave. The etymology may indicate that they are a lesser species of vampire. From what I know, vampires tend to despise them.
You mentioned something about a secret society.
Certainly. I've been a member of the Brotherhood of St. Paul's Stole for several years. We are pledged to monitor and report vampire activity in England as impartial scientific observers.
Yet you don't fear me. And still, you know the monster that lurks beneath the civilized surface.
The Brotherhood has studied your kind for centuries.
That explains your nightly wanderings about the docks.
I feel it wasn't mere coincidence that led us to that part of town. There was something as yet unseen that set those chain of events in motion.
Since I...
Well,
what do you expect?
What we need is hope.
Where?
But to be honest, we cope on a day-to-day basis.
We'll see each other again soon, Edgar. It's locked, all right. The flower's dying. It needs water. It's locked.
A giant morgue disguised as a hospital.
You always knew the words to calm the children, Helen.
Good evening, Mr. Goswick. Have you heard rumors about...
No.
Do you need any help?
I'm afraid I may, sir. I don't mean to be a burden.
You are not a burden, sir. Healing you is my responsibility.
And you have my gratitude for that.
I have to go.
I'm all right. Don't waste your time with me.
At least that's mistress of the dark.
Hey, Doc.
You're lucky to be alive, Mr. Cox. I hope you're starting to take better care of yourself.
This place is full of sickness and decay. How could I get better in such a dump?
Consider yourself lucky that I'm treating all of my patients equally. But don't push your luck.
Don't play the innocent with me. I'm sure you have good reasons to act this way. And also weaknesses that can be exploited.
Have you...
Blackmail?
I'll leave you.
Jesus, I've never seen so many people die.
Watch yourself! Bloody leech! That's what you do. Over there! Kill you!
Good evening, sir.
Who the fuck are you?
Dr. John...
Ah, some fancy gentleman we've got here. Clear off. We don't want strangers on our streets.
So you won't tell me your name, then?
The name is Booth Digby.
Maybe I'll ask my boys to break one or two of your bones, just so you remember it.
What, William?
Yeah,
More of
ink.
Well, I saw. What can you tell me, William? More
ink.
Goodbye.
Pleasure, sir. Been a while.
Good evening.
Who are you?
As I just...
The Pembroke...
I'm not here to collect...
Miss Edwina Cox.
Who? I believe you manipulated Booth Digby.
The poor bastard is good to me, if you must know. He makes me feel good. And that's a first.
So you're just like any other couple, after all?
Yeah, we're so ordinary that I'd put a bullet in his head if he ever cheated on me.
What gang? You're...
That's it.
What can you...
Take what?
But... Can I...
As long as... Foolish girl and her pretty principles.
You...
She's got no idea who she is.
You... What the... No. Don't you see it's an endless spiral?
That's what my sweet Edwina always says to...
Goodbye.
Without the wet boots keeping things straight, these parts will be running completely along.
I can't believe I'm doing this. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
I was just being polite.
Don't like questions.
What's...
Attack.
Some... You... What can you...
Well... No?
Goodbye, Mr. Hello. Did I...
No.
Well,
My name is... No.
This city has a bad...
I've known worse.
Why do you think she's so considerate?
I can't say, so...
What? What thing?
What's all...
What? So long. Good evening, madam. I'm Dr. Reed.
Why?
I work at the Pembroke Hospital.
Oh, the Spanish flu.
I'll leave you then.
To every night a darkness, and every dawn another death.
Are they stupid or something?
Sounds like...
Good evening, sir.
Whatever.
Don't you recognize me?
Don't take it personally.
Yes.
I'm Dyson Delaney.
No. Do you...
No.
Do you... Do you...
Let me...
What? Don't...
Matt...
Is that... All right.
A few years ago, when I believed a resolute man could change things around here for good, a tragedy occurred nearby.
What kind of tragedy?
It was a bomb. Bomb that exploded and killed many people. Metal and blood everywhere. Shouts, fire, broken window of the shoe shop, the torn streetlight.
You lost people you loved that day, didn't you?
I've lost everything. But you know what the worst part is? I don't even remember where it happened. I've drunk so much to forget it. Now I can't remember where it was. I can't pay my homage to the dead.
I'm sorry, Mr. Delaney.
It's okay. If you ever find the place, just leave a flower for me there. Even if you tell me where it is, I'm not sure I'd memorize it.
Is there anything... Inebriation aside, do you need medical help?
Yes. I feel sicker than usual these days.
Take this, then.
Hey, Doc, you don't really want me to stop the only remedy I can afford.
Goodbye.
Times like these, a good drink's just the right to cause a problem.
Good evening, Tom.
Good evening, sir. How are you tonight? Back to the docks, are we?
You remember me, then?
Of course I do. You're that man who seemed so lost when he entered my bar a few nights ago.
Thank you for your hospitality.
I'm still Tom Watts.
How...
Oh.
You... How... Doc... What can you tell me about this...
That's not...
Who?
Sure.
Goodbye, Mr.
Look at it! I'll tell you.
Tom has so much alcohol, he could keep this district afloat for quite some time.
He's on to us! He's dead!
It's locked, all right. Good evening.
Yeah.
Do you require medical?
That's something I didn't expect to hear again. A doctor concerned with the health of his patients. Yeah. I could use some help. On several matters, in fact.
I don't know which kind of doctor you're used to dealing with, but it's a doctor's purpose to heal people.
And is it your purpose as well, Mr. Reed? I would say it's a convenient way for gaining people's trust.
Goodbye, Mr. Fishburne. Evening, Rufus.
Evening, Mr. Reed.
Do you need help?
A real doctor caring about me.
A real doctor treats everyone the same, Rufus.
I don't know what to say. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
So long, Rufus.
So love to gaze at the stars. The fog's been hiding.
Welcome back, Doctor.
You lied to me, Tom. Your warehouse wasn't empty. It was inhabited with armed vigilantes.
I'm sorry, Dr. Reed, but I thought those Prewen guards would be willing to let someone like you pass without trouble.
That was devious of you, Tom. Next time you can bloody well go yourself.
I apologize, Doctor, but it's just that I prefer to avoid the law, its enforcers, and all manner of thugs in uniform.
Here is your booze. I hope it will appease your customers. Just try not to kill anyone with this poison of yours.
Believe me, Doctor, most of my customers are less agreeable when sober.
Goodbye, Mr.
I should have offered a drink to the boy. Be he cursed or not, he's just another lost orphan.
Goodbye. Opium is one of the main ingredients of Strickland's medication. Never a good move. I cannot enter.
It ain't human! Kill it! Oh my God! Murdering! It's a lady!
Will this shift never end?
Good evening, Dr. Strickland.
And good evening.
I located the shop, but it was vandalized, and the owner is missing. All I found was your order.
I was afraid of such bad news. People are so desperate they're ready to burgle a shop for drugs.
That's quite a list you ordered. Opium, sodium hypochlorite. It can't be just headaches you're trying to cure.
This dreadful influenza, of course. I already ran some tests on hopeless cases. Without success, I must admit.
Do you realize you could create a lethal poison without the correct dosage? Then there are the legal ramifications.
Is this not true of any medical substance, Dr. Reed? However, if you would agree to improve it, I'd be glad to accept your help.
As long as you promise to be scrupulous with your experiments, I may try to gather these substances, and even help improve upon the mixture.
That's all I'm asking for, Dr. Reed. That's all I'm asking.
I want to know about these secret tests you run, and if they can save people from this epidemic. Speak to me now, Thoreau.
I know I may sound presumptuous, but I'm just following your steps, Dr. Reed. I'm casting away the shadows of ignorance by daring to face them.
Self-confidence is essential in our line of work, my young colleague, but only if tempered with the correct amount of cynicism.
But you never doubt yourself, Dr. Reed. I've read all your articles and books. You performed the most daring research during the war.
You have my support, Dr. Strickland. I know exactly what it feels like to battle an unknown disease with only your mind and force of will to help you.
Thank you, Dr. Reed. You don't know what that means to me.
Tell me, Thoreau, what's the real cause of your dislike for Dr. Ackroyd?
He refuses to admit that your blood transfusion technique is the only way to save Mr. Fiddick. I'm convinced we must use it.
What Dr. Ackroyd really said is that you lack the skill to perform this operation efficiently. Is there anything you have to say about this?
It's a false conceit. Dr. Ackroyd secretly envies your reputation. His jealousy blinds him. I'm not the real target here.
Have you heard any talk of blackmail going on in the hospital?
If you're running some official inquiry, you had better question the patients. They know more than the staff, especially old Miss Jones.
Goodbye, Dr. I can't let Strickland put his patients at risk with opium. Perhaps an adjusted formula will deliver more of a placebo effect.
Blaming me will not further your agenda, sir. How long's it going to take to make me properly? A month?
Don't waste your time.
A year? You have the right to disapprove. Kindly apologize when you're feeling better.
It's locked. I have a mind to report him to Dr. Aykroyd. Good evening, Dr. Strickland.
And good evening to you, Dr. Reed.
I have managed to improve the mixture by diluting it. Have you ever heard of Sir Joseph Francis Olive? Or the placebo effect?
No, I don't think so. Why?
A placebo is a substance or procedure that has no actual physical effect.
You made a placebo of my project. Why?
Research has established that a placebo, as long as the subject believes in the effect, can provoke a positive physiological reaction.
Really? That's fascinating. And you want me to, what, administer the placebo and see what occurs?
Something like that, yes.
Well, I'm a bit surprised, but I trust you, Dr. Reed. Please take the key to my cabinet and put this placebo there for future use.
Goodbye.
You always knew the words to calm the children, Ellen. As for me...
It's locked, all right. At least Strickland can't kill anyone with this formula. It's locked, all right. It's locked. It's locked, all right. It's locked. Good evening, Nurse Brannigan.
Good evening, Doctor.
Tell me what Dr. Tippett did. I know his mistake caused a patient's death.
If I had not covered up his error, Dr. Tippett would have been fired from this hospital. I could not let that happen.
You can't allow your emotions to dictate your conduct concerning patients, Nurse Brannigan. I can't say I approve of what you did. But as a field surgeon, I know that some situations require you to bend the rules.
I'm not proud of what I've done, but to contain the epidemic must be our priority, so we can't afford to lose Dr. Tippett.
I've decided that I won't reveal Dr. Tippett's, shall we say, misdemeanor.
I'm so glad you share my point of view. Dr. Tippett is a brilliant practitioner. We most definitely need his know-how.
I hope you're right. This is a huge risk we're taking.
Dr. Tippett must regain his confidence. Please, keep this decision between you and me. He doesn't need to know you found out.
Goodbye, nurse.
Good evening, Doctor.
Have you heard of any...
There are
what kind?
I'm not in the...
I'd like...
Wise choice. Good.
I'd like to see...
Wise...
flu took my dear wife, Emily. I take comfort knowing we'll soon be together again.
Mr. Rainfield, that's no way to talk. You're in good hands here, and we'll be up again soon enough. Now do me a kindness and get some sleep. I'll be back round later.
Your words are kind, the blessings of an angel. You're the sweet, sweet Lady of Mercy.
Good evening, Dr. Reed. It's a pleasure to see you again. You seem surprised. Dr. Swansea has brought me up to speed concerning your recent appointment to Pembroke Hospital.
You're a the lady who saved me that night, before vanishing into thin air. I remember you from the pub with Dr. Swansea.
Indeed. Allow me to introduce myself formally this time. My name is Lady Ashbury. I remember you well, in spite of the brevity of our encounter.
Apologies. You've taken me by surprise. I'm very happy to see you.
The pleasure is mine, Doctor.
I hope you're more disposed to answer my questions now.
You must have countless questions, but our rather urgent matter first. Swansea has explained. My cover, if you prefer, has been compromised.
Dr. Swansea has commissioned me to be your agent in this matter. You could start by explaining what's amiss.
These past insufferable weeks, I've been the victim of extortion. I've made a first payment, but the blackmailer grows greedy. I must refuse his most recent demands.
Who would be so foolish as to threaten you? A kindred spirit.
Even if it were the case, and I highly doubt it, a vampire would have asked for something more valuable than money. My suspicions lean toward a patient, or their family.
Please continue. Every detail is essential. I'm your man.
My embarrassment in this matter is eclipsed only by my shame at having put the hospital at risk. The threat from our anonymous scoundrel is clear. A list of dates. My visits coinciding with the dates of suspicious patient deaths due to massive blood loss.
I'll take care of it. Do you know where I should start?
If that was the case, I'd settle the matter myself. You could talk to our local gossip, Harriet Jones. Not a pin drops here without her hearing about it.
I'll meet that woman now.
My life, as others know, is in your hands, Dr. Reed. I'm sure of your discretion, but I do fear your powers of persuasion will be put to the test. When this is resolved, I'll be your obligé. I'll answer all questions in regards of your condition.
What? What is this? Who are you? Get out of my room.
There's no need for alarm, madam. I'm Dr. Reed, the new surgeon.
Preposterous. Dr. Reed, you say? I don't want some bumbling intern. Where's Dr. Swansea?
Dr. Swansea is quite busy, and I need you to help me get acclimated. I have many questions.
How brave. Threatening an old defenseless woman. You know how long I've been a patient here? You've picked the wrong fight. I'm Harriet Jones.
Harriet Jones? Indeed. I've been meaning to have a chat with you. You know what goes on here better than any other patient, I gather.
Oh, better than any patient, nurse or doctor. I've seen so many vile undertakings.
I heard there have been some despicable goings-on. Was there a case of blackmail?
Blackmail? Wait. You're investigating something. This isn't a social call. One of those incompetent cunts slit a poor sod's vein.
I assure you, madam, this is not an investigation into a possible medical error.
Debauchery, then? Nurses Crane, Hawkins, Brannigans, whores, all of them. They can't keep their legs shut. I've seen them scratching slutty sores.
Really? Well, if you have irrefutable proof, I'll not have the staff behaving in such a manner here.
This is your business, Doctor, not mine. But I swear one of the nurses is cavorting with some man on hospital hours.
Thank you for your time, Miss Jones. You've given me something to go on. See you on the next round. The patients and staff might know something. I'll start my investigation with them. Good evening, Mr. L.
Why do you... I wasn't disfigured by any German shells.
Tell me what...
I went with a whore in Rouen. Dead drunk I was. The hotel was a shithole. There was a fire that night.
Did you start the fire? Were you trying to avoid going back to the front? That's not uncommon, you know.
No. It's just that I was asleep when the flames reached the room. The girl was long gone. Bitch never woke me up. Left me to burn.
Why lie about it?
Come on. It's one thing to come back disfigured by the Germans, and it's another to get injured in an accident that could have happened to anybody.
You know you can't hide forever. One day you'll have to face your loved ones. Until that day, you have no chance of real recovery.
My friends all died in the trenches. It's shameful enough to be alive with these stupid scars. I don't want my children to see me like this.
You told me before you don't want your children to see you like this.
My sister Agatha has raised me nippers since their mother died. Don't want them to look at me like this.
How could children despise their father injured in the war?
What do you think? They saw me once. My poor angels left the room crying.
Your sister's not a child.
You don't know my sister Agatha.
She doesn't have to know.
She's a sly one, my...
Goodbye for now.
I wish I could be sick again.
I met him in New York once.
If only there were more of us. Less resignation and more determination.
I know I can count on you. I wish I could say the same for the others.
You look exhausted. You're pushing yourself too hard. You don't want to bear the burdens of this hospital alone.